For 30 years, former President Jimmy Carter and his wife have traveled around the world building housing for families in need. This week, they were in New York City, helping those still recovering from Hurricane Sandy. MSNBC's Richard Louis sat down with the Carters to get his take on the government shutdown, defaulting on the debt, and why Jimmy Carter has full faith in Speaker John Boehner.
President Carter holds the record. He had more government shutdowns than any president in history. 5. His perspective on what's happening today?
It would be a global tragedy.
Carter's warning the additional showdown over the debt ceiling could lead to default.
First of all, just the reputation of our country would be damaged, I would say, for a long time in the future. We've already damaged the emblem of America as a leading democracy because the shutdown of our government has given a bad name even to democracy itself.
At a break at the Carter's annual Habitat for Humanity build, Carter reminds us, though his struggles with Congress were also related to health care funding, they didn't involve a default, only the budget. And he says today's stakes are much greater.
To default on America's debts would be a tragedy that would far exceed anything we've known financially in this country since the Founding Fathers created the Constitution.
Nevertheless, the 39th president thinks the default will be prevented. And part of that solution will be the House Speaker facing off the Tea Party and the likes of Ted Cruz.
I know John Boehner fairly well. He's not a coward. He's got a very difficult, fragmented Republican Party. But I recognize the problem. I'm sure that Harry Reid recognizes the problem as well. So I think that Boehner is going to be showing that he's not a coward, that he's a capable, courageous, respectable person.
At 89, Carter remains involved not only in community work, but also his expertise, Middle East peace. He shared how the new Iranian president might represent opportunities in talks on that country's nuclear ambitions.
I know that Rouhani knows a lot about Western culture. He knows about how to negotiate with America and Great Britain and France and Germany and Russia, as you know. I think he also is capable of understanding that the tremendous pressures that are on Iranians' economy because of the embargoes and economic restraints is damaging his own country. So I think that compared to what we've had in the last 8 or 10 years in Iran, we have a very good prospect in the new President Rouhani to negotiate a reasonable agreement.
You're not only giving me...
And before we finished, his thoughts on the Nobel Peace Prize not going to Malala Yousafzai.
I never have criticized the Nobel Committee because of whom they choose. I particularly didn't criticize them in 2002 when they chose me.
With that, as always, it's back to work. The Carters, married 67 years now, rush off to meet with yet another family in need. Richard Louis, MSNBC, New York.